How's everybody doing? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you like, I hope you subscribe, I hope you forward. How's everybody doing out there? Welcome back. This is about prison rehabilitation, or the lack thereof rehabilitation inside of the prison system, because the prison system is a massive, massive business. We are talking a $182 billion annually business. $182 billion a year is the prison system, okay, inside of the United States of America, with about 2 billion of those dollars, a little more than that, in the New York State prison system itself. So I'm going to give you a little breakdown about how that works, how the governor, how the people in charge are filling their pockets, right? Should I say allegedly filling their pockets with tons and with billions of dollars, and going and buying their houses on islands, right? As everyone suffers, as the taxpayer suffers. The taxpayer suffers because that's where the money come from. All right, that's where the money's come from. All right, so I'll give you an example of how some of the programs work. Right, we have a program called ASAT, Alcohol Substance Abuse Training, mandatory program inside of the prison system. Mandatory, right? If you have an alcohol and drug problem. But even if you don't have an alcohol and drug problem, the prison's going to try and force you into the program anyway, because they get tens of millions of dollars to have this program inside of the prison system. Alcohol substance abuse training, right? And what happens is they hire a civilian. A civilian is not a correctional officer. A regular civilian, what we call civilians, gets hired to come into the prison and teach the alcohol substance abuse training program. I don't remember ever seeing the civilian when I was in the program, because they pay a prisoner about $8 to $10 a week to run the program. And usually the prisoner is so incompetent, it's ridiculous. The prisoner knows nothing. Okay, he doesn't even get a training course. He gets some material on paper. This is what you explain to the guys when you go in the class. You go into class, this guy's sleeping on their desk. This guy's sniffing heroin off of their desk in the drug program. Guys writing love letters to their girlfriend, right? So the alcohol substance abuse training program is shit. Okay, it's a scam. The only time the civilian will enter the classroom is when the big shots in Albany, New York are coming to do a walkthrough once or twice a year. And all of a sudden the civilian shows up and everyone behaves like they're supposed to behave. They act like there's a meaningful class going on. And then when Albany does their walkthrough and leaves, it goes right back to the $10 a week prisoner running a program that is a 6-month program and mandatory for a prisoner to take in order to be released. Okay, that's the programs inside of the prison system. In a nutshell, that's how they all work. You have ART, which is another one, anger replacement training for people with violent crimes. They got to take this program. It's mandatory. The state gets tens of millions of dollars for this program. The civilian is nowhere to be found if he shows up for work at all. And if he shows up for work, he's not in the classroom. He's sitting somewhere in the office while the $10 a week prisoner runs the program. And even if you don't have a violent crime, you go see your counselor. Your counselor's like, you have to take ART. You're like, I don't have a violent crime. Why would I have to take a violence program? You got to take it. You got to meet it. It's one of your needs. How could it be one of my needs, right? They want to force you in there to get the money from the federal government, from the state, from where all the money's coming from, right? So this is a $182 billion business. You have vocational programs, vocational training in there. You got to teach the guys a vocation when they come out, right? So you'll have an example like radio and television repair. I was in radio and television repair in Attica. I was in there. You know what radio and television repair consisted of? Learning how to solder on a little circuit board. Learning how to fix a 10-inch black and white television. You would go up there. It was ridiculous. This is no trade that is going to benefit a prisoner for when he gets released. You have masonry program in there. The guy Mason, Mr. Eskins, that ran the masonry program, never laid a brick in his life. He was a truck driver for 20 years. And when he retired from truck driving, he wanted to get another job. So he got a job in the Department of Corrections teaching masonry. You go down to masonry, guys are just sitting there smoking cigarettes. Their future could depend on this program, right? But the guy doesn't know a thing in the world. Now, I know a lot of people will say, who cares about the prisoners anyway? They're getting released back into your neighborhood. If 80% of the prison population will be released back into society, do you want someone who's rehabilitated with the skills to survive? Or do you want someone who's going to come home and get back into the drug game? Or come home and do a robbery or burglary in order to survive? You see, when you rehabilitate someone, when you educate them, we'll get to education as well, right? Right? Education, when you educate someone, it puts self-worth inside of them. It increases their ability and their chances to become employed, right? It increases their chances to be productive members of society when you educate someone. So why wouldn't you want to educate a man, or why wouldn't you want to give a man a vocational skill if he's going to be released back in society? But if you were making a lot of money from that prisoner, then I would think you would want him to get released and come back in the revolving door. Recidivism would benefit the person who's benefiting financially, right? Recidivism will benefit them, right? So there is no point to educate these people, right? Education, they removed college from the prison system, right? There's no college in the New York prison system. They have a master's program. A master's program. 80% of people in like one or two prisons. 80% of people don't even have men in prison don't even have a high school diploma. Never mind an associate's or a bachelor's. They're going to go for their master's. See, but on paper it looks great. They could say we have a master's program in this facility. It's not bad. What are you putting 6 guys in there out of the 60,000 that you have? Right? On paper, everything looks great. I'm telling you, on paper, everything looks wonderful. They teach you no skills for today in the prison system. There's no skill. They should be teaching, if they're going to have vocational programs, they should be teaching things like web design. They should be teaching things like a computer repair to learn how to fix computers, right? Learn how to design websites. Give these guys some skills that will benefit them when they actually step out. But because when they go into prison, the average prisoner is undereducated, right? The average prisoner was unemployed. Now, if you don't educate him, you're releasing him as an undereducated, unemployable, convicted felon now. Now his situation has got worse because now when he gets released, he's a convicted felon. So what's the opportunity that he's going to become employed? Since I've been home, right, I applied at Home Depot 10 times. I applied at Lowe's. I applied at Walmart. I applied at 110 jobs on Indeed, and I had gotten one interview. Thankfully, I had built a business where that's how I survive. You know what I mean? But that's on thin ice too. The point is that it's extremely difficult for a man to become employed when he gets out. Now, I know prisoners did it to themselves. That's not my argument. We did it to ourselves by committing a crime. We did it to ourselves by becoming incarcerated. I'm not looking for pity. That's not what this is about. It's not a liberal outlook. Right? It's not a liberal point of view. My point of view is that, as I said, fact, not opinion, these men are coming home back into society, right? And if you are a true government system or state system that says you're interested in rehabilitation and interested in stopping the revolving door, then you would have real programs of substance and not things that are a farce where you receive billions of dollars to run these programs and then cut as much as you can and make it a shell of a program so you can continue to fill your pockets. This is why they build prisons. New York has like 50 prisons because the contractors that are building these prisons are giving kickbacks to the state employees, giving kickbacks to the federal government, giving kickbacks to the governors, the congressmen, the senators who are approving the building of these. Right? Let's say a construction company can build a prison for $100 million. Right? Let's say it costs $100 million to build a prison. Right? And so the government employee goes to this contractor who he knows and says, I need you to build a prison for me. He says, okay, I could do it for $100 million. And he says, no, you could do it for $500 million. Okay. $500 million. He builds the prison for $500 million. It only cost him $100 million to build it. There's $400 million to whack up, right? That may sound simple, but that's basically the way it goes. And that's basically the way the government works in general. When they pay $900 for a hammer, they were caught doing this. They needed, let's say, I don't know the exact number. They needed 600 hammers for the job. The federal government paid $900 per hammer. So obviously a lot of that money is making it into someone's pocket. They say that the average cost to house a prisoner in New York State is $90,000. Oklahoma says they do it for $16,000. $90,000 to house a prisoner? You might as well give the prisoner $60,000 in cash and let him go on the street. He won't need to commit a crime if he has 60 grand in cash. I'm being a little facetious, but it costs you $90,000 to house a prisoner? Come on, that's crazy. Right? It doesn't cost that much. Pockets are getting filled. The love of money is the root of all evil. I tell you this. There's no therapy inside a prison. No therapy. On paper, looks like they have great therapy. I write a therapist a letter in the mental health department saying I need to talk to someone. They might write me back 4 or 5 weeks later. Call me down to the mental health department. I'll go down there. There's someone straight out of college, first job. He's going to give me therapy? After the traumatic life that I lived and everything that I've been through in my life, and the detention centers and the group homes and the incarceration and the solitary confinement and being imprisoned with a manslaughter charge, I'm going to go down there and talk to this guy that's out of college. He doesn't even want to be there. He doesn't even want to talk to me. He's a state employee that wants to get his check. Right? There's no therapy inside of the prison system. Another farce, another big farce. Let me give you a very sad example of something, right? I was incarcerated for taking a man's life. Unfortunately, something I regret deeply, right? In my 17 years in prison, this is a fact. This is very important. Listen to this. In my 17 years in prison, nobody ever asked me if I would kill again. Let me clearly state for the record that I will not. No one ever asked me if I would kill someone again. Do you know there is people that kill people and they enjoyed it? Or kill people and they don't think anything about killing again? Don't you think it's an important question to ask someone who murdered someone, who killed someone, if they would kill again? Nobody ever asked me that question. Nobody ever asked me how I felt when I killed a man. Another important question. Even when I went to the parole board, they're determining my release. I'm supposed to be at a parole board where they're determining my release. They didn't ask me if I would planned on killing again. They didn't ask me how I felt when I killed the guy. There's people that kill people and enjoy it. They got a sick mind. They're twisted. And they fantasize about doing it again. It's an important question to ask someone that took someone's life. They didn't ask me when I was going in. They didn't ask me when I was coming out. They didn't ask me during the 17 years of my incarceration. Would I feel like killing someone again? How did I feel when I killed someone? What happened? They didn't even ask me what happened, what transpired. All they wanted to know in the very beginning when I was first arrested is, did you do it or didn't you do it? If you say you didn't do it, we're going to try and prove that you did it and put you away. That's it, right? No therapy, no insight into a person, right? These are men that have lived some very troubled lives, myself included, that came from a life of pain. A large percentage of the men that came from disadvantaged homes, broken homes, disadvantaged positions in society, right? They were starting living at the bottom of the barrel, and they need help before they go back out there. I'm not saying they're all like that. There's an alarming number of men in prison that have no interest in becoming good people. I admit that they have no interest in it, right? There's guys that live their lives to take advantage of other people, true animals with no morals, no values. If I was on the parole board, there were many guys that I would never let out because I got to know them personally and know their mind frame. But those are the same guys at the same time that need help. If you just want to consider them throwaways, that's fine. I mean, maybe some of them are. I don't know. But there's no opportunity in prison. There's no insight in prison. There's no agenda in prison to try and help or rehabilitate. It really is a sad reality. It's unfortunate that that's what the system has come to. But as I always say, the love of money is the root of all evil, man. The love of money is the root of all evil. And when the federal government kicks the money to the state, they try and cut everything they can. They try and cut the food the prisoners receive. They try and cut the programs that they have. They try and cut the education that they have. They try and cut the therapeutic community that they have. And it just becomes incarceration and no rehabilitation. And it shouldn't surprise you, because look at the way our government operates. Look at the way that our government employees are continuously arrested. Our mayors, our governors, our senators, our congressmen. All you have to do is turn on the news. This one's getting arrested for bribes. This one's getting arrested for embezzlement. This one's getting arrested for fraud. This one's getting arrested for rape. Another one sending pictures of his penis to a 15-year-old. The other one is got $5 million in his freezer. We got a governor in Chicago who was smoking crack. We got people who are put in positions because of their race or because of their agenda, right? You have all the system is a mess. You have president, we could go back to Bill Clinton. He's sleeping with a teenager as he's president of the United States. He's sleeping with a teenager in the White House as his wife and kids are down the hall. You expect more from your government? Right? You have a guy like Joe Biden, who his son is smoking crack and flying over to Russia and doing deals with other countries as he's sniffing cocaine and smoking crack. You expect more from your governor? In my county, where I am, in Nassau County, if I went down the list of names of all the people that were arrested and charged and prosecuted that were running this county and running this state, it would shock you. I have the sickest list of things that I researched of government officials that are corrupt. So if they're corrupt like that in their personal life, if they're corrupt like that in their business life, how do you think they're going to treat a prisoner? How do you think they're going to treat a prisoner? You think they're going to rehabilitate prisoners? They love the revolving door. They love the revolving door. When a guys would go to the parole board, they had the craziest institutional record where they were stabbing people, assaulting officers, doing drugs inside a prison. And they would go to their first parole board and get released. What the fuck? The guys in prison would be like, yo, how did they release that dude? They released that dude because they know he's coming right back. He's coming right back. He might not even last 30 days. And then you'll have a guy like, I'm going to use myself in as example. It was my first time in prison, right? And I had completed all the mandatory programs. I had extensively educated myself. I had a solid plan, a release plan, family waiting for me, employment waiting for me. I had remained drug-free for many years. I was extremely remorseful, sincerely remorseful for the crime I committed. And they show that people that go to prison for taking another person's life come back to prison only 3% of the time. Only 3% recidivism rate for someone that takes someone's life. So you would think that was a guy you could release at the parole board, right? They hit me at every parole board. They denied me at every parole board. My first one, denied. My second one, denied. My third one, denied. Because they knew I was the type of guy that's going to get out and stay out. No benefit for them financially, right? They take this $182 billion a year into the prison system, but there's very little money put into the release system once a man is released, into work programs, educational programs, therapeutic programs. Very, very little money is put into helping a prisoner after he steps out from incarceration. But all the money is spent on keeping them in and keeping them undereducated, unemployable. That's the sad reality, man. There is no rehabilitation in prison.